Remember to hit that subscribe button. Welcome to another edition of Against the Grain Sports. It's me, Gerard McCain. I'm here with Jody Coleman and Jason Coleman. And basically, we want to talk about the acquisition of Blake Griffin to the Brooklyn Nets. What does this mean for the Brooklyn Nets? And also, what does it mean for Blake Griffin? Jason, I'm going to start with you first. Give me your reaction to Blake Griffin joining the Brooklyn Nets, and he joined the Brooklyn Nets for the league minimum.
Well, I think with Blake, he's an immense talent who once had immense talent. I think injuries have basically robbed him of his immense talent. But I think it's a good landing spot for Blake, just for the simple fact that, he's going to come in with no expectations. He's probably going to be the seventh or eighth man off the bench. If you get it, it's a bonus if you actually get some Blake to return back to his. I'm not going to say all-star days, but if he's getting back to a solid role contributing player, he can help balance out the minutes when they have to play Jeff Green at the 5, or they have to play Bruce Brown at the 5 and DeAndre Jordan. So you got 4 people that you probably play at the 5 as they play a small ball. The small ball system they play with under Steve Nash. And really, the real coach of this team is probably Mike D'Antoni. So I think with Blake Griffin, he can be a contributor. I don't expect him to be somebody who's going to come in and give you 20 and 10 like the old Blake Griffin. But if he comes in and gives you, a solid 10 and maybe 10 and 5, and maybe be able to stretch the defense because he's more of a shooter now than a post player. I think that the acquisition will help the Nets become a little more balanced as they get some more front court scoring. But I don't think it's something that's going to be a game changer for the team because he's not the athletic player that he once was, and he really doesn't move on defense, so he's not going to really help him out on defense either.
Jody, give us your reaction on this.
Hey, man, I couldn't wait to get in here, man. Let me go ahead and tell y'all something about Blake Griffin, man. If Blake Griffin gives you the same productivity that he gave you in Detroit, which was 12 and 5, he has surpassed whatever Brooklyn's expectation is for him, because I don't think they really need anything else to win a championship, because right now they're already put together to win a championship. They haven't even added Kevin Durant back into the mix, and they're 11 and 2 against teams over 500. So the teams that really matter, they're playing great against. With them moving James Harden to the point, moving Kyrie Irving off the ball, DeAndre Jordan playing solid defense inside. He's getting a lot of rebounds. Bruce Brown, you got Harris on the outside hitting the threes. He's doing what everybody except in their role. Blake Griffin comes in. I don't think he has that ego anymore. I think he comes in. If he gives you 12 and 5 like he gave you in Detroit, he's able to give you 25 to 30 minutes per game. It definitely is a plus for Brooklyn. Then you get him for the basement bargain price. He coming in at the league minimum. And then Jason made mention of Steve Nash. That's the problem for Brooklyn right now. He's the problem. It's not going to be the players, because I thought it wasn't enough basketball to go around, but the way James Harden has been playing, the way Kyrie Irving has been playing, and a guy like Kevin Durant that can come in, he's going to be able to score regardless of what team he's on. You add Blake Griffin. I don't think it's any team in the Eastern Conference that can beat him. I don't think it's right now. If AD does not get healthy in Los Angeles, there's no team in the league that can beat Brooklyn, even if they didn't pick up Blake Griffin. So when you bring a Blake Griffin in there, he's not done. He was playing 31 minutes for the awful Detroit Pistons. Have you seen a Detroit Piston game drop? Have you really? Can you stomach that game? Huh? Can you stomach it though? Did you have to take a drink before you watched that game?
I didn't have to take it. Listen, I didn't have to take a drink, but it wasn't really fun to watch. And the game that I watched, Blake Griffin didn't even play. I'm not particularly sold on the Brooklyn Nets winning the championship, but I do think it's a good move for Blake Griffin. And like both of y'all said, Blake Griffin is not washed up. He just played for Detroit Pistons.
He's only 31. He's only 31.
You're right. He's only 31. He's still got a lot of basketball left in him, and he's still a really good player. My whole thing is the Brooklyn Nets, I just don't feel like they're going to win a championship, because you pointed out that right now they're 11 and 2 against 500 teams, right?
That's correct.
But they have players on their team that have always had really great regular seasons. James Harden has always been a really great regular season player. You said that about him. He's the greatest regular season player we've ever seen, right?
That is a true statement. Yes.
Yeah. Same thing with Blake Griffin. He was one of the best regular season players that the Clippers ever had. But these guys get to the playoffs and they have problems in the playoffs, man. They have problems. I'm not gonna say performing because these guys still perform in the playoffs, but it's not. They're not reaching their greatness in the playoffs to get them over the hump, to get them to a championship.
Well,
that's my biggest concern with this Brooklyn Nets team, even with KD. And we don't know what we're going to get from KD when he comes back from this injury.
What?
We don't.
When has KD not performed up to the level of expectation since he's came in the league with the Seattle Supersonics? He's been a guy that's going to fill it up. If he's healthy, he's going to give you everything he has. You made a statement and you said that, James Harden and Blake Griffin has not been to the finals, but you got two other guys that have. You got Kyrie Irving, who hit the biggest shot in Cleveland Cavalier history when they beat the Golden State Warriors when they're down 3-1. Then you got KD, who has 2 championships. You can't take away those 2 championships that he had in the last 4 seasons. So
those are actually Stephen Curry's championships, but
But the thing about it, James Harden and Blake Griffin doesn't have to have that pressure on them because they have 2 guys that has been there and done that in the last 5 seasons.
I get all that. I'm just not sold on the Brooklyn Nets winning a championship this year. And
I still go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's just where I'm at with it. I don't believe that they can win a championship. Even with everything that they're doing to build a championship team, I'm just not convinced that these guys are going to get a championship this year.
I'll be interested to see how the Nets react when the playoffs do come around, when the games are slowed down, when you have to have somebody to face up with Joel Embiid. You only have 6 fouls to give to. You got DeAndre Jordan. You don't have another big man on the roster to go out and compete with Joel Embiid. And then you have to think about, even if they run into the Milwaukee Bucks, you still have. Again, you don't have a big man to compete. If Giannis, you play Giannis, they're not good at walling up. So what are you going to do against those teams when you have to play defense and the game slows down?
Can I jump in for a second, Jason? Because you mentioned the Philadelphia 76ers and Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is my MVP candidate right now. If the MVP and the season started, he's my MVP. But he's not enough. The reason why he's not enough is the problem is Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons still cannot shoot the jump shot. And when you get into the playoffs, what are you going to do when you can back off that guy? He's an excellent playmaker. He's an excellent defender, and he's excellent open court. But when you play playoff basketball, it's half court. You just mentioned that, right, Jason? You just mentioned that, right? Okay, so Ben Simmons, they can back off of Ben Simmons. Now you're playing 4-on-5. You can get on Tobias Harris and make sure Tobias Harris is you can double Tobias Harris now. And then you can double Joel Embiid. Let those other guys beat him. I just don't think that Philadelphia has enough. You mentioned Milwaukee. You said they're not good at walling up. Okay, they're going to outscore Milwaukee regardless of Giannis. He can't shoot. They're going to outscore any team in the Eastern Conference. Milwaukee does not have enough dogs to go against Brooklyn Nets.
Jody, you still missing a point that even if you do double. Like who's doubling Tobias Harris? And even if you do double Tobias Harris, they got a few shooters that they can kick the ball out to, you know what I'm saying, and can hit open shots. Seth Curry is actually a better shooter than his brother percentage-wise.
Okay, because he takes less shots than his brother. Let's go ahead and throw that out there. Let's stop that hyperbole now. Stop that on the brain sports right now, man.
Just listen to me. In the playoffs, if you're going to double one of those guys, Embiid or Tobias Harris, he's going to get more shots. Right. He's going to get more shots.
And that's okay because if the Brooklyn Nets can hold teams, so this is amazing stat. They can hold teams under 118 points, they would win a championship. And that's amazing when you can give up 118 points. Right? Because they're going to score 130 a game.
Even when they because the thing, like, I'm looking at it from the standpoint that these teams are going, like in the playoffs, they're going to slow the game down. You're not going to be able to run, get to 120 points. It's going to be a hard thing to do. But I can see that's going to be the Achilles heel for this team is basically, who they when it comes to playoff time, do they have a big man to stop just to get stops? They don't even necessarily need to score just to get stops. That's something Blake Griffin doesn't provide them. If I'm Sean Marks, I'm the GM. I'm trying to figure out how I can get Al Horford. I don't know how they can swing it, but if they can figure out how to get Al Horford, they'll definitely be head and shoulders above the top contender.
But they already trying to get Andre Drummond.
But don't y'all think that's overkill? I think right now, y'all think y'all playing a little bit too far into this. I think these other teams need to start acquiring Al Horford. These other teams need to get DeAndre Drummond. These other teams need to go get free agents. If Milwaukee doesn't make a move in the next week or so, they're not going to get past the second round, which they've been eliminated the last 2 seasons with the MVP Giannis on the team. And I just think the 76ers, like I said, the limited amount of shooters, they don't have a deep bench. So I think the 76ers are in trouble. Embiid he's going to have to give you 50 and 15 every game. And I just don't think he has that inning just as of yet, man. No player in NBA history has ever do that except for Wilt Chamberlain.
And I don't think Embiid's going to have to give you 50 and 15, but he is going to have to be a 30-plus point scorer in the playoffs for them to even get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Right. And I think that he has that already in his mind to do that. Now, whether he does it or not is yet to be seen. With Giannis and the Bucks, I mean, let's just be honest, man. They are just a playoff team, period. They should not have any championship aspirations as of right now because they just a champion. They just a playoff team. That's it. You know what I'm saying? That's it. That's all. And I really feel like the league is trying to make Giannis somebody that he's not. That's why they keep giving him MVPs, and then they made him MVP of the All-Star game because he made all his shots. But he wasn't even the best player on the floor. But yet they still gave him the MVP.
To be honest, what Milwaukee needs to do, they need to get a better number 2. I like Middlebrook, but Middlebrook is a high-level number 3. He's not a number 2. Middleton. I say Middlebrook. Middleton he's a high-level number 2. I mean, he's a high-level number 3. They need an actual number 2, and they have yet to bring that. They have yet to bring that, and until then, they're a second-round team that will go out every year until they do that, or they're gonna have to blow that team up at some point, and then you can't blow it up because you just signed Giannis to that huge deal. So I don't know. Milwaukee, like you said, Gerard, man, Milwaukee is gonna be who they are, and that's a playoff team, a regular season team that wins a lot of games.
Well, hindsight, the biggest mistake they made was letting Malcolm Brogdon leave because I think he was a better number 2. He would evolve into a better number 2 than Chris Middleton because he's more of a playmaker than Chris Middleton is, and I think that was
not only that, Jason. Not only that, he's a floor leader. He's a floor leader and a general, and he's a leader. And Milwaukee is missing that so much right now. And for them to let Malcolm Brogdon go
over Eric Bledsoe, which is
but that was their biggest mistake, and that's why they haven't performed to expectations that they're supposed to perform to. It's because they let Malcolm Brogdon go, and then that was their biggest mistake.
And then on top of that, they don't have Eric Bledsoe. Now they got Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday is not the answer. He's a tremendous defensive player, but Jrue Holiday is not the answer in Milwaukee either.
He's an upgrade of Eric Bledsoe.
Not the answer to anybody's team. I mean, I like Jrue Holiday, but Jrue Holiday is not the answer to anybody's championship aspirations, period.
But, hey, guys, man, we had a great back and forth about Blake Griffin and the Brooklyn Nets in the Eastern Conference. But I'm going to put it out here before we go on transition to something else. Can anybody beat the Brooklyn Nets? Who do y'all think in the whole league, not just the Eastern Conference? Jason, who do you think is name a couple teams? Name somebody that can beat the Brooklyn Nets.
Well, obviously, I mean, it depends. Like the health pending. If Anthony Davis can come back and perform, you still got to put the Lakers as the number 1 contender to compete with the Nets. I would also look at a team like the Clippers have the personnel on the perimeter to stop them. I just don't think they still lack an interior presence. You're relying too much on Marcus Morris and Luke Kennard to actually step up and fill in be that third banana, and it's just not happening. So I would say the Clippers. The sneaky team that I think if they make a move will be the Denver Nuggets. Now, if they make a move, and I don't see Bradley Beal going there, but they can make a move and get a third player to play off of Jokic that doesn't require the ball but plays defense, then I think the Nuggets can give them a run for their money because they're one of the deepest teams in the league. They don't have that third star that you need to actually compete. But
they
those are probably
do.
my top three.
Jason, they actually do, but Mike Malone just doesn't play, and his name is Bobo. And Denver,
Bobo?
seriously. Yeah, seriously. Have you seen Bobo play?
I like Michael Porter better than him, but go ahead.
No, he is. He is. But what I'm saying is you just mentioned they needed a third guy. Bobo is going. He's that guy that can help them get to where they need to go because he can do so much, and he's a mismatch problem, and he can play defense, but he don't get on the court enough. And it's almost like Denver either needs to play him or let him go somewhere else.
I just wonder with Bobo, is it something about the practice habits? Because the way he dropped in the draft, when he came out of high school, they thought he was going to be a top 5 pick, and he ended up dropping.
He was hurt. That's why he dropped just like Michael Porter Jr. did because he was hurt.
But then it's like when he does get in the game, he performs. But it just makes me wonder, like, is it something practice related? Is it not clicking? It's like a focus thing. I don't know what it is, but it seemed like that guy. Like I agree with like he would definitely be a help to the Nuggets. Because he can protect the basket. You can actually play Jokic in the high post. But Bobo
has a Millsap problem. That Bobo has a Millsap problem. Millsap either needs to retire or get traded for Bobo to get on the floor more. And that's just basically it. You got coaches who are loyal to players that they've been coaching or veteran players, and sometimes younger players don't get to play like they supposed to because you got that coach-player loyalty thing going on.
Yeah.
But if you make it 30, Gerard, you make it $30 million a year, would you retire?
I think that's what I'm saying.
I think he just got brought back for like $5 million.
But see, that's saying,
he had a 3-year, $90 million deal before that last deal. I'm not retiring.
Right. But that's what I'm saying though. That's the reason why Bobo can't get on the floor because he has a Millsap problem. So to answer your question about can we see any of these teams beating the Brooklyn Nets, I can't answer that question right now because we still haven't reached the trade deadline and we still haven't reached the playoffs yet. We don't know who's going to be healthy, who's going to be on whose team or what. So we'll revisit that question once the trade deadline is over with and once we approach the playoffs a little bit closer, then we can revisit that question. But right now, that question is just a question that just really can't be answered right now.
Well, I'm going to answer it. I don't think nobody can because even if AD is healthy, man, that'll be a heck of a final, though. The Los Angeles Lakers and the Brooklyn Nets, I will be tuned in to every one of those games and every minute of that series. That's what the NBA needs at this time is something that's going to glue fans to the seats with the pandemic going on and the bubble happening last year. We need some normalcy, and that'll actually be tremendous. East versus the West Coast. You got Brooklyn versus LA. That's Los Angeles. The East versus West. I think the league needs that.